Speaking of clouds, my Puss in Boots is floating on his cloud right here on my lap. He feels good. It feels good to have my cat on my lap. Boy, what a topic feelings are, huh? It's we could wax poetic forever. Don't we love our good feelings? Don't we detest our bad ones? And yet, as I mentioned at the start, there's currently about 8 billion of us on the planet, and each and every one of us is going through these feelings. And I guess we might think of a large body of still, smooth water, and each one of us is a pebble thrown into the pond. And as we know, when we throw a pebble into the pond, it creates those dispersing circular ripples, and they're beautiful as they expand out in a circle. And yet, throw 8 billion little pebbles into a pond, and they all start to collide with one another. And then you get what's known as an interference pattern when they all start to collide. And um, wow, that's a lot to manage when you think about it. And so all 8 billion of us are trying to manage and manipulate and control life so that life feels the way that we like. And if only everybody else would do what I wanted them to do, so they wouldn't hurt my feelings. And then, except they're thinking exactly the same thing, right? And so all this control and manipulation of all these ripples going off, if only people would do what I want them to do. And yet I can't even do what I want me to do. So that's uncontrollable as well. And so we begin to see the maelstrom of superficial human feelings, that if we're living at that level of existence, there's all that's really left is uh, lives filled with sound and fury, ultimately signifying nothing. It doesn't mean there's not a lot of energy going off. It doesn't mean these interference patterns are anything but wild and crazy and intense. But really, what do they really mean in the overall scheme of things? My feelings, your feelings, these superficial feelings. Did I get my feelings hurt? I remember I had a mentor early on, and he would, I'd see him, and he could tell something was up, and did you get your feelings hurt? And yeah, I got my feelings hurt. And fortunately, I'd never hurt anybody else's feelings. And so if we build our lives on these superficial fluctuations of feelings, it's rather obvious to see that no real stability of life can be gained, no real permanency or true serenity or true equilibrium can be built on the firmament of such vibrational fluctuations. And yet the world at large is living that. We live on these gratuitous superficial feelings, trying to manage everything. So what's the answer to these superficial fluctuations, Looney? Well, way back when sailors began to cross the Atlantic Ocean from Europe to America, and occasionally they wanted to go back home. Maybe you came to America and you didn't like it here and you decided to sail back. They discovered this most amazing thing, that if you sailed in a particular part of the Atlantic Ocean to get back to Europe, if you sailed in this one particular zone, you got back weeks faster than if you sailed over here. What was going on? So very smart people began to study this, especially Benjamin Franklin. He studied a lot of things, and he sailed back and forth several times, but then they identified something called the Gulf Stream. The Gulf Stream is a river of far deeper water energy, a flow far deeper than superficial movement of the Atlantic Ocean. In other words, the top of the Atlantic Ocean is always fluttering this way and that. On any given day, the little ripples are going that way, or they're going that way, or there are none at all, and you're just dead in the water. But somewhere 50 feet below and 1,000 feet deeper, there are vast rivers of energy flowing. And it's a perfect analogy for the rivers of feeling that we all conceivably, potentially could have access to. Should we really settle for little faint feelings of romantic love or mild interest or annoyance or irritation when there are great rivers of love and light and passion and meaning, true joy that are available to us if we would just get down to that level. But we're never going to get to that level if we're just living on this surface level. So first, we have to do our therapy and our various forms of spiritual work, step work, you might say, or the other forms of things that we do to go deeper and clear up that stuff. But when we finally decide to meditate, as we are, we begin to tap into the Gulf Stream of bliss and joy and peace. And when we tap into that, there's no more effort to try to manage. We simply ride the wave of the greatest feelings. I personally, I don't want to live without feelings, and I bet you don't either. We all want to live in great feelings of meaning and purpose and love and joy, interest, compassion, and purpose. And yet to find it, we don't have to scramble for it. Those feelings will find us when we get calm and peaceful enough. Anyway, that's today's little talk on feelings. If you find yourself with your feelings hurt, or if somebody else is hurting your feelings, let's see if we can get to a place where no other human can ever hurt our feelings ever again, that we're far too stabilized to let such silliness happen. Okay, see you guys.